Hey friend, it's Sean with Guided Productions. Have you ever wanted a way to make your text look more interesting on screen, but not something that's overly complex and time consuming? Well, today I'm going to walk you through how to animate text right inside of Adobe Premiere Pro. The version I'm using here today is version 25.6.2, but I will say of all the previous versions I've used, this method has stayed the same. So here we are in my timeline. I'm in the captions and graphics workspace, as you can see here on the right. This gives me access to the built-in graphical text layers that you'll find right inside of Adobe Premiere Pro. And of course, I could be doing this on a black screen. I just pulled in this image of all this cool looking camera gear because I think it looks more interesting for the video. Now, to do this, all we got to do is start building our text layers, right? So I'm just going to go to the basic title preset that's right here on my panel on the right, and I'm going to drag that right onto my timeline. I'll do that, and I'm going to start with just one word here. For this example, I'll just use the name of my business, Guided Productions. So I will make one layer titled Guided. And while I'm at it, I am going to change the font and everything. What we want to do is build our text exactly as how we want to see it on screen. And then we're going to animate it after the fact. So let's go ahead and take care of some of those things right now. I want this to be Lato bold. There we go. And you can adjust the size as well. I'm going to end up beefing this thing up and putting it right in the center. So let's go 150, like nice round numbers there. And I'm going to add a shadow. Sometimes I add a shadow, sometimes I don't. Let's pull that down a little bit. Pull this over. And you can kind of just play with this, get the look you want. Maybe you don't even want a shadow, and that's totally okay. But we want to make our text look like it's going to look on screen when it's all said and done. Now, to make another layer, I'm just going to hold Option on I'm using an iMac here. So Option for me, I think it works with a PC the same, but correct me if I'm wrong. I really only edit on a Mac. So Option, click my layer, drag it up one. And what it's going to do is actually duplicate that layer. So now I have two of the same thing, which makes it really easy because I've already changed the font, the size, all that good stuff. So I'm just going to pull that down and we're going to double click. Of course, my business is not Guided. It is Guided Productions, if I can spell. There we go. So there we have it. Already, this is looking pretty good. I don't think it's very centered, so I'm going to pull this up a little bit. And I want that to be, let's go big. Let's go 200. And we'll do the same with Guided. We'll just bump that up to 200. I'm going to raise that up a little bit. And I think this is pretty cool. That's looking to be somewhere close to the center. And for this example, it doesn't need to be perfect. But the reason I'm doing two separate layers is because I thought it'd be kind of cool to have the word Guided slide in from the left, and then Productions will slide in from the right. So now what we're seeing here on the screen is what I want my text to look like when all of the animation is done. So imagine this is the start of something, it's a title screen, and we're going to have Guided come in and Productions come in. It's just going to look a little more fun. Now, obviously, you could go to your effects and you could type in cross dissolve, and you could put a cross dissolve on there. Let's do that for both of them. And you would see that it's going to fade in if I play this back. Now, that's okay, but it's just not that exciting. So I'm going to get rid of both of those, and we're going to do something a bit more interesting. We're going to animate this. Now, we've talked in other videos about setting keyframes for position and scale that can move things around, but we are going to use an effect called transform today, and this will make a lot more sense once we get toward the end. So go ahead and search for transform right in the effects panel on the left here, and you'll see down here we have it. It's just called transform, and drag it onto each of your text layers. You may just have one text layer if you have one word, or if you want to put them all in the same row, you may have 10 other text layers. This is entirely up to you and what it calls for in your project. For mine, I've got two. So this is what we're going to work with here. Let's go ahead and start with Guided because it's at the top. Now, since we already set our text up and everything, and I'm happy with what that looks like, we can close out of that, just collapse it. Everything we're going to do, if you look at my effects panel on the left, everything we're going to do from here on out is within the transform effect itself. Okay. So when we're adjusting position, we don't want to go up to the vector motion. We don't even want to go up to the standard motion of when you pull something on screen. We want to work within transform. So I am just going to say, I want my text to come in pretty quickly. So we're going to go, this is, you can see it's one second. We'll go somewhere around, yeah, somewhere around 1 second, maybe a little bit less. And I'm going to set a position keyframe because that is where I want my text to end up. Now I will pull that playhead all the way back to the beginning, and I'm going to slide that all the way off the screen until I can't see it anymore. It doesn't really matter if the numbers line up or if they're round or whole or bring it to a certain location. All you got to do is get it off the screen. That's the most important thing. Okay, I want to go back to this other keyframe because at that same exact moment, that's also when I want productions to hit the middle, right? Because I want these to come in at the exact same time and end at the same time together. Now I'll pull that playhead all the way back to the beginning, and I want productions to be hidden off the screen on the right because that is where it's going to come from. All we're doing is setting the start position, right? So guided is now hanging out somewhere out of the frame on the left. Productions is off the frame on the right. So now if I play this back, you're going to see the text will move to the center. Okay, not bad, but there's something about it that doesn't quite look right. It's too even. There's no motion blur. It just kind of floats in out of nowhere. And so it doesn't feel very authentic. We need to create some movement. We need to create some motion to this. So I'm just going to biggie size my timeline here so we can take a look at our layers a little bit closer. We're going to right click. So this top line here defaults to opacity. If I hover, you can see it says opacity 100. That's good. That's where I want it to be. But we need to change that line to our position. But because we're editing in that transform effect, we're going to right click, go to show clip keyframes. You'll see transform is now an option. And then we'll go over here up to position. That is what we want selected. And you can see here, I'll zoom in a little bit on my timeline, that it gave me these little dots and it's now changing my line. If I now hover over this little dot, you'll see it says transform and position. That is what we want. We're going to right click this dot and go from linear to Bezier. And what this allows us to do is grab these little blue Bezier handles and we're going to pull this down and go all the way over like this. You don't have to go too far. It'll reset itself. And then we want to pull this left one up, and we're kind of creating this reverse exponential parabola. It's been a long time since I've taken a math class, so I am sorry if that's not correct, but we want this downward sloping line because what this is going to do is take that motion. It's going to come in real fast and then gradually come to a stop. That's what we're trying to do here. So let's do the same thing to productions, show clip keyframes, transform, position, right click that dot, switch from linear to Bezier, and we're just going to grab that handle, pull it down and over, let it reset, and then let's pull that up real high there. Okay, that's looking pretty good. I think we can actually do a little bit closer for guided. Okay, now let's play this back and see what it looks like. Okay, did you see that? It comes in real fast and then gradually slows down. Ooh, we're getting somewhere. I like this. Okay, now there's one last thing that we're going to do right inside the transform effect. You don't need to grab anything else. We're doing this right inside transform is on the left here. If you move your eyes to the effects panel here on the left, shutter angle, we are going to add some motion blur. So all this is doing is essentially telling Premiere that the further the words or the text is from the center point or the anchor point, the more blur it's going to create. And what this does is as that text is moving quickly and it's really far from that anchor point, it's going to be super blurry. As it gradually slows down and comes to the middle, it will start to clear up. And this is going to give it a really nice, authentic motion blur effect. I usually go somewhere in the, we'll go 180, let's say, and then we'll do the same for productions. Let's say 180. Now, before I play this back, if I just start going back to where the motion begins, you see how even as I stop the frame, you can see that the text is blurred. There's some motion there. Now, as I come to the middle, it starts to clear itself up. And then, of course, once we get past that, it's crystal clear. So let me pull this all the way back, and we're going to see what this looks like. If this happens for you, if you look on my screen on the right, you see how productions is now showing. It's because that shutter angle is stretching that word. Sometimes you just got to go back to position and just push it off the screen a little bit so you can't see it anymore. If that happens, no big deal. Just push it off the screen and you'll be good to go. All right, so let's hit play and see what this looks like. Boom. That looks real good to me. So we've got some good animated text here. Now there's one last thing that I like to do to just bring it all home. Okay, I lied. I know I said we were going to do everything inside Transform, but as a musician, I'm always thinking about sound design. And so in my head, as these words, as this text is swooshing onto the screen, I'm thinking in my head, it should kind of go whoosh, it should have this swipe sound. And so I just went to the YouTube studio. Again, if you have not already created a YouTube channel, it's free to create your own channel. Even if you don't upload videos, the YouTube studio has royalty-free music and sound effects built in, and it's pretty handy. So I just went in, if I go to my project panel here, I have in Elements, that's not what I want. In Audio, I have the Rake Swing Whoosh. That's what it's called. And I'm just going to pull that onto my timeline here. You can see I've got quite a few different options of swooshes. So I'm just going to pick one. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. I'm going to cut it, and I'm just going to move it somewhere in the beginning here, right where I think that it makes sense. We want it to kind of go whoosh. Maybe I'll pull it back a little bit right there. Okay. And then I'll grab this. This last one it's slightly different. Since I have two different words, I'm actually going to use two different whoosh sounds. Sounds funny to say that. And I'm going to put them just out of time from each other. Okay. So now if I play this back, there you go. And you can even manipulate the duration, the speed and duration. If you set this down to 75%, say, it's going to stretch that whoosh. And maybe this one I want to do like 60. So it's stretching that a little bit. I think I want to pull this a little back now. And that, right? So it's actually going to lower the pitch. And there are some effects that you can put back on the audio if you want to go that far. That raises the pitch back up and changes the formant. So it sounds a little bit more natural, but for this purpose, I'm just showing you what you can do. If you throw a little bit of sound design in with your text, it can really sell the deal. So here's what we've got so far. Friend, that is how you animate text right inside Adobe Premiere Pro. We don't have to overcomplicate it. All you need to use is one effect called Transform right on your text layer. Set a couple of keyframes, adjust that shutter angle, and if you really want to have some fun, throw in some audio effects for sound design and you are good to go. I hope this has been helpful. Friend, if you are interested in more help around video production as a whole or video editing, go to guidedproductions.com/bettervideoguide to get your free copy of the 6 steps to creating better video. It's a PDF guide that I created that discusses everything from building your idea, finding the right location, what gear you need to shoot a video. It takes you all the way into the editing process. And of course, I give you a checklist at the end so that you don't have to think about it. Everything is built in right in front of you. Super handy guide, and it's my free gift for you spending some time with me. So guidedproductions.com/bettervideoguide. Get your copy today. Friend, thanks for spending this time with me. I hope this is helpful. Leave a comment below if you do have questions about anything, and I would be more than happy to help out. As always, have an amazing day, and I will see you on another video real soon.